Hello.
Then, now,
Bow down to the queens.
Episode number 500.
forever,
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello and welcome to episode number 121, I believe, of the TEW IX Challenge Run. This is going to be SmackDown here in Barcelona, Spain. The beginning of the European tour is finally upon us. It is March 14th, SmackDown. We're on the road to WrestleMania. If this is going up when I plan to, which would be that this is the second episode of a double upload with ECW up today on what would be the 14th, then that would mean this is my birthday episode, so yeah. Woo. But yes, tonight we have a United States Championship main event. Big Oba Femi and Bronson Reed go at it one-on-one. We also have the in-ring debut of the Lucha Bros after their debut last week on SmackDown. We have Julia taking on Aoi Maikawa. We have Cammy and Io Sky and Utami Hayashishita all in the same ring to kick off the show. And there was definitely another match that we announced that I've forgotten. It was... No, I think that was it. Okay, yeah. But yes, there is a whole lot more planned for tonight's big show as we kick off the European tour in style. Without any more further ado, let's finally get this European tour underway. So we kick off the European tour with Big Io making her way down to the ring. She's the first woman out. She comes to the ring, she gets into the ring, the crowd's serenading her, they're chanting Io, Io Sky over and over again, because, you know, we're in Europe now, we can do that. And she sort of just looks around smiling when Utami's music hits, and out come Utami and Cammy, just those two. And they get into the ring. Utami and Io go face to face, look up at the WrestleMania sign, do all that drama. And obviously Cammy's got a mic, Io's got a mic. And Cammy says, "Listen, we're not here to fight tonight. That's what WrestleMania is for. As you can see, it's just me and Utami here. No Megasis, no Julia, no Saya, no Yoko. I just want, you know, to talk about what's gonna happen. Because in any other timeline, you know, I'm so proud of the work I've done here in WWE. We're about to see two Japanese women main event WrestleMania together. That is... I can't begin to put into words, you know, how big this is for us and our wrestling and, you know, the future of Japanese women's wrestling across the world, not just here in America. So in any other timeline, I'd be so happy and over the moon, but the fact that it's you, and the fact that it's me, and it's Utami Hayashishita, the queen, it does make it a little bittersweet. You know what today is, Io? Today is March 14th. Tomorrow officially marks 1 full year since the Ides of March last year. The event that many people say was the death of Queendom. And I tried to downplay it at the time and, you know, say, no, they were wrong. You know, it only made us stronger when we, you know, added everybody to the group. But the reality is Queendom did die on March 15th, 2024. But Queendom Omega lives even stronger. And WrestleMania is just around the corner. And this little chapter of your career, of my career, of Utami's career, and finally it all comes down to this. You know, Io, these people love you. They adore you. You know, they sang your name and serenaded you as you came to the ring. They're doing it now. And obviously, Io Sky breaks out on cue because we have the crowd in the palm of our hands like that. Because, and for what? Do you feel like any of this has been earned? Do you feel like you deserve this Royal Rumble victory, this WrestleMania main event? After all this, you spent more time in a hospital bed that either we put you in or Candice LeRae put you in over the past year than you spent out in this ring actually doing what you're supposed to be the best in the world at. Io, we live in a time where a Joshi professional wrestler, a former World of Stardom champion, broke it big in the biggest wrestling organization in the world and is now undeniable. But for how much longer? Because you see, I see through you, Io. When you were under my rule on top of the world, you were as evil and as vicious as you'd like to make out that I am. But you know the reality of this. You see Utami Hayashishita standing across from you. You don't just see your opponent at WrestleMania. You see much, much worse. You see your replacement. You can spend almost a year out of action with a concussion and come back and do it at the top level, and that's an impressive, but eventually those injuries and all of that, it begins to take its toll on a body, Io. So if Utami, young and injury-free and on top of her game, and you, dare I say, already past your best, is it really within the best interests of this women's division for you to win the Women's World Championship? I know a couple of names who would definitely say no. Because think about it, Io, isn't this what you want? This is a vindication of all your hard work, of all those women back in Japan who you anointed as next up when you fled the country to go make it big in America, and you did your part, and Utami did her part, and she followed you here. And at WrestleMania, on the biggest wrestling event of the year, when two Japanese women go face to face in that ring, we're going to find out which one of you is better. We're going to find out, Io, if this queen's quest for glory was all for nothing. Because what happens if you fail, Io? I've already proven what happens if we come up short at WrestleMania. We can bounce back stronger than ever. But what about you, Io? Will a defeat at WrestleMania spark something inside you to change things up? Maybe go back to the way you used to be? Or will you just fade into the sunset? A flash in the pan who couldn't get anything done without me by her side? Because we're about to find out. 2 years ago, I stood by your side as you returned from that near career-ending injury. And here we are 2 years later. I'll be more than happy to allow Utami Hayashishita, my queen, the real greatest Japanese export of this division, to make sure that near career-ending injury finally gets over the line. And then Io takes the mic. And she says, You talk a lot. I don't need to say what I'm gonna do. I'd rather show you in the main event of WrestleMania. Cammy sort of just chuckles and goes, okay, sure, but here's the thing, Io. You got 6 weeks to wow us. 6 more weeks of you finally being this beloved hero to these people. These people that you apparently care so much about now, despite you never apologizing for any of the misery you put them through for the past year. You walk around here, you dive around the ring, you get them to serenade you. And it's propping you up on this pedestal where you think you're untouchable. That's going to make it so much better when a younger, stronger, more dominant woman takes the genius of the sky, clips her wings, puts her into the dirt. Because when you're a genius of the sky and you're on ground level, Leo, you don't really have any kind of advantage over anybody. Now Julia's going to come out here now and she's going to beat Aoi Maikawa. So, we'll let you head to the back because we promised no physicality, we promised no violence here, and I'm nothing if not a woman of my word. You know, unlike you, I actually stick to my morals and principles. But we'll be seeing you around, Ace. And then they leave, Io leaves. Julia does come out, and we got our opening match. Here in Barcelona, it is Julia against Aoi Maikawa, which gets a fucking 94. Holy fuck. Yeah, Julia wins 14-32. Beautiful madness. 96 for Aoi, 91 for Julia. You know, I should have done this match next week, because next week's the show in Italy, and, you know, it's Julia. But I'm sure she'll be on the card in some fashion next week anyway, so. But yeah. You know, following on from beating, or the Nemesis beating Mako last week, Julia defeats Aoi here tonight. And then get Swerve promo. You know, and him and Lord Bando are sort of just pacing around like in, you know, some out of arena, you know, wherever Swerve and Lord Bando hang out in their free time. And he goes, "Last week, Drew, you tried to play the mind games with me. You brought out Bronco Nima and Lucian Price. You know, I'd already cut ties with those guys, but Bando, he stuck by them. So what you did last week, it didn't really affect me as much as it affect him. And this ain't about him, Drew McIntyre. This is about you and I. You are to get in my head. Congratulations, Drew. Welcome. Hope you like your stay and the sick and twisted mind of Swerve Scott, because trust me, my mind is not a place you want to explore. You're not safe visiting my mind. But while you're in there, you can see what I'm thinking, right? Because you and I, we've been going at it for a long time now, and I tried to have a match to shut you up for good a couple of months ago when you kicked my head against a pair of steel steps and you took me out of action for a few months. I didn't know if I was going to be at WrestleMania this year because of you, Drew. But I'm back now. Not only am I back, I'm on top of my goddamn game. I'm in my element. I'm in my prime, Drew. And you blame all of this. You blame your downward spiral, your mind going insane, on one defeat back in Glasgow. A defeat you had no excuses for because I put your ass down 1, 2, 3, clean as a whistle on that night. Well, I'm going to give you the chance to avenge that night, Drew. Surely beating Swerve, the big boogeyman that I am, would clear your mind, right? And I would love to get my hands on you, and not just my hands, every part of my body and every weapon I can get my hands on. Because a normal match ain't gonna do this, Drew McIntyre. I challenge you to a Sin City street fight. And given the name Drew McIntyre, Sin City, there's only one trip to Sin City I've got in mind coming up in the next month. So it ain't gonna be while we're toiling around in Spain or Italy or England. It's gonna be at the grandest stage of them all. Swerve Scott, Drew McIntyre, one-on-one at WrestleMania. If you're not a coward, Drew, if you really are all about shutting my mouth and avenging that defeat, take a swing. And we cut from that to Drew McIntyre in the interview area with Kayla Braxton. He goes, well, Drew, you just heard the challenge from Swerve Scott challenging you to a Sin City street fight at WrestleMania in Las Vegas next month. Drew goes, Swerve, he's an interesting man. You know, he was a former world champion. He was on top of his game. Many were calling him the best in the world when he was the world champion. Then he ended up losing the championship to Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods, who, until recently, I had his number. I beat him every single time he stepped into the ring, apart from this damn idiot who ruined my life and my career, personally and professionally. So Swerve says he wants to be the big man. He wants to be the man to challenge me to the Sin City street fight at WrestleMania. Well, guess what, Kayla? I was waiting for an invitation. I was waiting for an invitation, Swerve, because if I got my hands on you backstage and beat you to a bloody pulp like you deserve to be, you'd have cried again and said that, oh, Drew McIntyre's a coward attacking me from behind. So I want you to know, you asked for this. You wanted this. At WrestleMania, be careful what you wish for. Because I'm going to kick your head off this time. So yeah, Drew seemingly accepted the challenge for a match with Swerve. Sin City Street Fight at WrestleMania. Lucha Bros entrance. You know, their Aura farming. Or Death Triangle entrance, I should say. I forgot to put their stable logo on them. I'm literally going to back out in a minute and do that right now. But yeah. They are here. The Lucha Bros will make their in-ring debut against Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro coming up next. 76. Okay, let's see what we're dealing with in terms of ratings here. Because I've just bought these two in. They've not wrestled a single match. I think they literally signed and were available to use like 2 days before SmackDown last week. So I have no idea how they're getting on. Ray Phoenix apparently has a awful gimmick and is a bit beat up because he's coming off wrestling like a load of matches. But yeah, 66, 61. I was hoping for a little bit higher than that, to be fair, but you know, they're going to be booked strong, so I'm sure they'll get popularity quickly. Hello, editor Connell, just going to chime in and tout my findings after I looked into this, because I was absurdly surprised by how low Penta and Phoenix scored. I mentioned during Velocity that it's to do with popularity in Spain, and that was actually not true, because like the way that I've done it is the WWE Network is the same size all over the world. So that was just an injury that caused the lower rating on the Velocity match. But with Penta and Phoenix, obviously they've been wrestling in AEW, and AEW's TV deals in Europe are kind of ass. So their popularity in Europe was much lower than it is in America, which explains why on this show they scored really low, because they're being judged off their popularity in Spain. Yes, Penta pins Joaquin Wilde in 10:51 with a top rope Styles Clash, and the Lucha Bros, of course, do win their debut. 60 for Cruz, 66 for Joaquin, 66 for Penta, and a 61 for Ray Phoenix. So these are basically the exact same team. Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro against the Lucha Bros in terms of ratings in this game. Who'd have thought? You know, these two are still in. They might pop up. I might bring them back up after Mania, like just as a babyface like tag team on like ECW or Raw or some shit. But yeah, they are still around. They're in NXT at the minute, doing their thing. No, AAA, sorry, I believe, because, you know, they're Mexican. After the match, Neville takes the microphone. He goes, for those who may not be familiar, what you just witnessed was the greatest tag team in the world doing their thing for the first time here in WWE. This is Penta. This is Ray Phoenix. They are the Lucha Brothers. Together, we are Death Triangle. And it's a name that is all too very fitting. 'Cause I told the New Day, I told Xavier Woods that if he defied us, he would be courting death, and death has arrived. So Xavier Woods thinks he made the brave decision to not kill the New Day last week. But what he actually did was sign their death warrant, because at least with Big E and Kofi Kingston together, the New Day would live as a duo. But once the Death Triangle are finished with you, all three of you, there'll be nothing left of the New Day. And then cut backstage to Candice LeRae. Boos echoing around Barcelona as her face appears on the Titantron. And then, she's just walking through the hallway, her hair's all messed up, expressionless. When we hear, a commotion and Kaya Saint storms forward, Morgan and Zayda behind her, he goes, "Hey, bitch! You think I forgot about what you did to me, huh? Well, I'm back now, okay? You want to act on that?" And then Candice sort of just slowly turns to her, just stares blankly at Kaya Saint. And then Morgan and Zayda sort of put their hands on Kaya and go, maybe we should leave her. No, Chris needs us later tonight, okay? Maybe you should let this one go. And they sort of just drag her away. And Candice sort of just chuckles to herself as they walk off. But then Shotzi storms up to Candice. She gets in Candice's face. She goes, "Bet you feel real proud of yourself, right? Doing what you did to your best friend at Roadblock. Now, I've accidentally come in the middle of you two recently, and Dakota, she did attack me, but I understand why, having to deal with the shit that you've been putting her through recently." She goes, "Oh, really? Okay. Because I don't remember asking you anything. Okay? I don't remember inviting you into our business at all, okay? You experienced firsthand the kind of narcissist asshole that Dakota could be and has become. But yet you're coming up here still sucking up to her and acting like I'm in the wrong. Anybody in my situation, if they got betrayed by their best friend the way I did, would do what I did, Shotzi. But you don't have any friends, so you don't actually know that, do you? You're just walking around here like a loser, kicking cans down the hallway, hoping that maybe one day you'll accidentally bump into somebody and you can start some beef to actually get television time, because you're a loner and every single tag team partner you've ever had has abandoned you and left you, and they didn't even bother beating you up, and on their way out they just sort of left you to rot because they knew you were anchoring them down, and you don't really know where your career's going from here on out. You could go back to NXT, you've been down there, still couldn't make any friends, you come back up and you still can't quite find your feet on SmackDown, so now here you are getting in my business." Shotzi's like, "Well, what the fuck? Fuck you, bitch. Back those words up in the ring." Cass goes, "I'd love to." And she just walks off. Speaking of the ring and women, Nova made her move over to SmackDown last week. So she has her official in-ring debut as part of the SmackDown roster against Raquel Rodriguez. And she picks up the victory 10 minutes and 10 seconds with Area 51. 79 for Nova, 63 for Raquel. Now after the mic, Nova, after the match, she says, "Well, SmackDown, looks like I've got a brand new galaxy to conquer. Now, SmackDown, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here or why I did what I did last week. Now, I know that you're supposed to be putting on this brave face, pretending that you like Charlotte Flair now. Charlotte's sucking up to you guys, and you're supposed to pretend you like her, even though you've never cared for Charlotte in the 10 years she's been around here on the main roster, because she's a narcissist, and she's coasting by on her family name. She's a Nepo baby industry plant. But now you're supposed to actually feel sorry for her. I don't. I want to take you back a while. When I came back last year, I had this chip on my shoulder, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why. I came back and I won Queen of the Ring and became Women's Champion in an instant. But something still didn't feel like I was satisfied, and I finally figured out what it was. As we headed into WrestleMania season, I went into the Royal Rumble. I saw the WrestleMania sign hanging up there, and I thought, this is my first WrestleMania in 2 years, because I missed last year's WrestleMania. And that's when it all hit me. It was WrestleMania 2 years ago, the biggest night of my young career. I'd only been around here for, a year. It's my first year on a main roster, and I was already in a women's championship match at WrestleMania, and I was up against the greatest of a generation. The greatest of all time, the multi-time women's champion, future Hall of Famer, WrestleMania main eventer, Royal Rumble winner. Accolades go on and on and on because they get handed to her, Charlotte Flair. It was supposed to be my big night, and I was better than Charlotte that night. But I couldn't win the championship because, just like always, Charlotte had tricks up her sleeve, and she had new lackeys that to debut and screw me over. And then, just when it looked like I was going to finally get Charlotte one-on-one and get that championship back, poof, I have to leave. But I'm back here now. And Cora and Roxy, they tried their hardest, to get me to buy into CM Punk's little vision of WWE over on Raw, but I knew that wasn't where I needed to be. Where I needed to be was on SmackDown. I leapt at the opportunity to come here because I've got business to finish with Charlotte Flair. Charlotte, your career and your group, all of it is crumbling away. You're having to deal with the fact that maybe WWE has passed the Queen by. And after what you did to me cost me the biggest victory of my career all those years ago, I would love nothing more than to finish the job. And then Ariana Grace comes out. Just Ariana. Charlotte's not here tonight. And she goes, "Excuse the hell out of you. Okay? Nova. Of course I remember you. You were the opponent in the ring when me and Ava finally came to Charlie's aid. And I understand that there's frustrations between you and Charlie, but let's get one thing clear. You didn't just screw Charlie over last week, you screwed me over. Because I could have finally become Women's Tag Team Champion here in WWE, my first piece of championship, and you ruined that. So it should be an eye for an eye. You cost us and Charlie a championship, and we cost you a championship back at WrestleMania 2 years ago, but you're coming out here with more of a vendetta. And Charlie, she didn't make the trip to Barcelona tonight. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to stand for my queen, because everything you just said about Charlotte used to be true. But you've been over on Raw and away during the time when me and Charlie have grown close. I'm here to stick up for not only a woman who was my boss, but a woman who has now become my best friend in this whole industry, because that Charlotte Flair that you're describing isn't the Charlotte Flair we've got now. Because Charlotte, she realized that her time, as the focal point of the women's division here in WWE has come and gone. But it's about how Charlotte can still be useful and who she can help bring up. And that's when she wanted to bring myself and Ava up. And you're going to sit here and call her selfish for giving opportunities to the rising young talent that you beg for. But because we just so happen to also be second generation, don't share our father's surname, so, our second generation heritage gets scrubbed from the history books. So we basically have to scratch and claw all by ourselves. But because it's not Nova Nebula and you're not the women's champion, sounds to me, Nova, like it's not Charlotte who has the narcissism problem about wanting to be on top of the division at the expense of everybody else. It sounds like it's you. And the guy's like, oh fuck, Ariana Grace has gone in. And Nova just laughs and goes, Who do you think you are? So you're here by yourself. I know Ava ran away to go suckle up to her daddy. When are you going to do the same? As a matter of fact, your dad's Italian, right? He's the Milan Miracle. Well, guess what country we're in next week? We're in Italia. And if you're going to be in Italy already, I'm going to drop your ass in this ring and make sure they leave you here. You don't even have to bother flying back home once this is all said and done, because you can stay in a hospital in Bologna if you're going to keep talking to me like that. And Ariana, she sort of like gets her crown, takes her crown off, takes her like sash off. She's getting ready to actually throw hands, like kicks her heels off. She's getting ready to throw hands with Nova. And Nova just chuckles, shakes her head and just goes, "You're not worth it. You're not who I want to fight. And she just rolls out the bottom rope and rolls out the ring. And walks back up the ramp. We then cut to a very dramatic, different segment. This is on, like, it's earlier in the day, you know, because we've seen EO already tonight. So, yeah, it's like a beach in Barcelona, and we see Kyrie, you know, just standing, like, on the pier, like, just looking out at the sea, and EO sort of, like, walks up to her as Kyrie just sort of, like, looks out and contemplates life, and they have a conversation. It's all subtitled, obviously, because they're speaking to each other in Japanese, but obviously, because it's earlier today, we can just subtitle it all. And EO sort of just walks up to her, she goes, Kyrie, how are you? And Kyrie just goes, I'm alright. And he goes, why are you here? Kyrie goes, I'm just thinking about sailing away and never coming back. And Neo's like, well, you can't do that. You know, we need you here. I need you here. And Kaiser just looks down, she like kicks a rock into the wall or whatever. She goes, but I can't do it. I need to prove I belong, and I can't. I lost. Again. And he goes, well, there's always another chance, you know, we've got multiple opportunities to get that championship back, you know, you can get another shot whenever you want. So, what's really the matter? And Kyrie's like, I'm afraid, EO. Not of losing. That's become normal now. But what happened to Asuka? What happened to Ember and Mako? I caused all that. My failures caused people I care about to get hurt. And he goes, don't be so silly. She goes, Kyrie. She sort of like grabs her, like starts like just like spins her around, like just holds her, like holds onto her and just stares at her. She goes, you didn't do that. Queendom Omega did. It's not your fault that Asuka and Ember got taken out. If you act like this, they win. Now, I know how you feel. How you want to prove yourself, and you feel afraid. It's fine. I do too. You think I'm not at least a little bit afraid that at WrestleMania I'm not going to get the job done? It's normal. But you need to shake that. You need to shake that fear, conquer that fear, and prove that you do belong. Because I believe in you. The people believe in you. Asuka and Ember, they'd have believed in you. So, you need to get back on that horse. Face your fears. And come WrestleMania, at the end of the night, we'll both be champion. And Kyrie sort of just like smiles. And her and Io like hug. And Kyrie walks away. And Io walks away in the other direction. You know, yeah. Been nice little pep talk. And then we cut to Kayla with Cammy and the Megasis. And Kayla just goes, well, I stood by with the Women's Liberty Champion and Cammy. And he goes, okay, so Kayla, I asked for this time here tonight. You know, we've already dealt with EO. That whole situation is done with. But, Utami Hayashishita isn't the only champion in my ranks, okay? Now, the Megasis has been the strongest champion here in WWE for a long time. And with WrestleMania season upon us, we have big plans for her. We need her to get some job done. So next week, the Megasis, she's going to go to that ring and she's going to face anybody that wants some of her. And she's going to rack up defense number 9 of the Women's Liberty Championship. We're oh so close to that magic number, Kayla. I can almost taste it. We then cut to the ring and Sami Zayn comes out. And Sami's like, ladies and gentlemen, if I could take this moment of your time quickly, please. Recently here on SmackDown, there's been a lot of people vying for the chance to become World Heavyweight Champion. Bobby Lashley, he's been the champion for a long time now, and he's defeated anybody that stepped in his way. But he's currently without an opponent for WrestleMania, so MVP, could you bring yourself out here right now? And out comes MVP. He goes, Sami Zayn, I really don't want to do this again, especially not right now. But, what is it you want? I told you last week, Sami, stay away from the World Heavyweight Championship and stay away from the almighty Bobby Lashley. Because what we do, Sami, isn't very kind to you. We hurt people. Now, Sami, the almighty Bobby Lashley and I have been talking to Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. And in 2 weeks' time, when SmackDown comes to London, we're going to have a definitive answer on who is going to challenge the almighty Bobby Lashley for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. And all this begging and pleading you're doing, Sami, it ain't making your case any stronger. Now, like I said last week, I respect you. And if anybody else was the World Heavyweight Champion, goddamn would I want you to get it done. But I'm also a realist, Sami. And the almighty Bobby Lashley is not dropping that World Heavyweight Championship anytime soon. So it's probably best for you to not get in that spot and disappoint the fans. Hell, you couldn't even beat Ricochet. What makes you think you could beat the almighty Bobby Lashley? Sami goes, think I couldn't beat Ricochet, okay? Ricochet won the United States Championship from me, yes, that's true. But he did it because he was a little cheating bastard who you've manipulated. In fact, bring him out here right now, and I'll prove that I can beat Ricochet. One-on-one, no excuses, no outside interference. And then MVP goes, that's a challenge that I'll have to go and see if Trevor, he's down for it. Or maybe you can ask him yourself. As then Ricochet flies in, he drop kicks Sami Zayn from behind. He goes, ha ha! As he takes him down. And Ricochet vs. Sami Zayn is up next. 92. Bang. Sami Zayn can get the job done. He defeats Ricochet with a haluva kick in 17:21. And he proves that, well, he can defeat Ricochet, I guess. 83 for Sami, 90 for Ricochet. And yes, Sami stands tall after the match when he turns around and Bobby Lashley spears the fuck out of him. And he picks up Sami, he spears him again. Ricochet's there, laughing around like a little cackling hyena. And Lashley locks him in the Hurt Lock. When Buster Gates storms out of the steel chair, he takes the steel chair to the back of Bobby Lashley. Lashley drops Sami. Buster smashes the chair against his back again, and Lashley retreats from the ring even, and then Buster sees Ricochet, and Ricochet pleads in the corner as Buster stands over him with a chair, and he starts wailing shots on Ricochet's back because it's always funny to book Ricochet to get his ass beat. He's very good at being a dweeb. I didn't see it, I used to always see heel Ricochet stuff when he was in WWE, and I'm like, I don't really know, but no, he's a fantastic dickhead. I see the vision now. And he's just so fun just to book and have him just get attacked. Because he's such a dickhead that he can get attacked weekly and just come out and still be a douche. And, he's not affected by it at all. So, yeah. Buster Gates and Sami Zayn leave Ricochet and I guess Lashley retreating. We then cut to Daniel Bryan in his little dojo with Regal and the Creed brothers. And William Regal goes, Daniel, my son. I heard the news, I watched Raw, I saw the announcement. You and the ring general Gunther one-on-one at WrestleMania. Now this is, as a fan of professional wrestling, this is definitely a match that I'm excited for. I'm so happy to see you and Gunther finally get the chance to lock it up. But, personally, Daniel, I know Gunther. I've been on the receiving end of plenty of Gunther's attacks. You know, as part of the Regal Coalition, when he left that group, he left me laying. So I know this is no normal man you're stepping into the ring with. So, training has to begin weeks out to prepare you for such a monstrous task of toppling the ring general. And Bryan goes, well, great. Let's get to work, Regal. I trust you. I know Gunther is a hell of a competitor. And, you know, as I'm winding down towards the end of my career, maybe I did make a mistake challenging the greatest of all time. Or not the greatest of all time, but the greatest of this generation in his prime. But I'm going to get the job done, Regal. This is not just for me, this is also for you. I'm going to avenge Gunther for us. And then he gets into the ring and starts, you know, they're doing chops. Miles and the Creeds are chopping the fuck out of him because, you know, it's Gunther. 80 rating match. Candice LeRae defeats Shotzi. 8:23 of Alliance. So Candice has a gimmick that's getting stale. Well, that's good because I need to change her gimmick anyway, because this definitely isn't the fun babyface gimmick that she currently has in the game. But yes, Candice does defeat Shotzi in 8:23, 88 for Candice, 64 for Shotzi. And then after the match, you know, Shotzi's down and laid out on the floor, and Candice, she goes to ringside, she goes under the ring, and she pulls out that cinder block. And like, she sort of like has it in her hands. Referees are trying to stop her as she like walks over to Shotzi with the cinder block in her hand. And Shotzi's starting to like regain herself. And she sort of sees Candice coming. And you can see her like backing away in fear that Candice is going to use the cinder block. And Candice does hoist the block above her head. But then she just stops. She sort of just looks down at Shotzi. She drops the cinder block on the floor and just shakes her head at Shotzi and walks away. Huh? They got backstage to Nick Aldis. This, ladies and gentlemen, here in Barcelona, what a night we've had, and it's far from over. You know, we've still got a big United States Championship main event here in Barcelona between Big Bronson Reed and Oba Femi, which is sure to be chaotic. But I want to talk about next week as the European tour rolls on to Bologna, Italy. And Bologna, Italy will also see a big-time main event with championship implications, this time for WrestleMania. Because over the past few months, there have been a number of tag teams vying for a shot at Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin's World Tag Team Championships. And I'm here to find out, to tell you how we will determine which one will go to Las Vegas to face the Motor City Machine Guns for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Now, the teams in question are Sharkeo, Pretty Deadly, The Revolution, and The Hurt Business. Now, with teams like that, you can make yourself a stacked match to determine who the very best of a stacked division is, and that's exactly what we're going to do next week. It's going to be all four of those teams in a fatal four-way elimination match, and the winning team will face the Motor City Machine Guns for the WWE Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania. So yeah, bang, big tag team main event next week in Bologna, Italy. Okay, so here's a segment. So we cut back from that. We cut to the front row of the crowd, and Barcelona Wonder Kid Lamine Yamal and his teammates are in the front row. We put him on camera. He waves at the crowd, and he goes, "Yeah, fuck yeah, it's Lamine Yamal. He's here." Then "I Am the Learning Tree" hits, and out come Jericho, Aussie Open, Morgan Zeta, Kaya, and with them is Grayson Waller and Pete Dunne being douchebaggery, and Pete Dunne is there. Oh, I said Grayson Waller and Pete Dunne. I meant Grayson Waller and The Miz doing douchebaggery, and Pete Dunne is there, And they're all dressed in Real Madrid shirts. And the crowd is booing the fuck out of him. And Jericho takes the mic as he comes down. He goes, Hi guys. So, WrestleMania is just upon the horizon. And I can't think of a better time to get prepared for WrestleMania than with a big showcase match here tonight. Because you see, one of the greatest matches in the history of WrestleMania every single year is the historic and iconic Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. And this year is such a star-studded field. Hell, the Learning Tree is going to be in it. So that's why I came here today to Madrid. Booze. I came here to Madrid to tell all my good folks here in Spain that the Learning Tree is global and that I am going to become the 10th wonder of the world at WrestleMania when I win Andre's Battle Royal. They'll call me the greatest of all time, just like the GOAT of this city, Cristiano Ronaldo. Boo! And we get an 8-man showcase tag match for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And a fucking stupid segment just to pop my... You know, if Triple H can drag all these fucking comedians and shit that I've never heard of onto his shows to do stupid segments, I'm gonna when we're in Europe, I'm gonna bring footballers to the show, because fuck you. Like, yeah. So yeah, it's Jericho, Pete Dunne, Grayson Waller, and The Miz against the babyface team, which is Andrade, Angel Garza, Carmelo Hayes, and Baron Corbin. Yeah, this is just an Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal showcase tag match. And Melo pins Chris Jericho with nothing but net. All of the Learning Tree guys were... I said they were all in Madrid shirts, right? Yeah. But yeah, Melo pins Jericho to a big pop, winning the match for the babyface team. 66 for The Miz, 86 for Pete Dunne, 68 for Grayson Waller, 61 for Jericho, 81 for Andrade, 77 for Garza, 80 for Carmelo, and 78 for Baron Corbin. And after the match, Jericho gets to his feet, he takes the mic, and he goes, You know what? Barcelona, you're a bad city anyway. You know, there's a reason why the championships here in this country go to Madrid. A la Madrid. And then Lamine Yamal hops the barricade, and he kicks Chris Jericho in the balls to a big pop. To pop me and everybody in Barcelona, and that's about it. But, yes, Jericho has had his nuts crushed. Riz Jericho, he called himself. Yes, alas. Next week, the European tour rolls on as we head to Bologna, Italy, where there's some big matches set for the show. The first, Ariana Grace. She's coming home, I guess, you know, with her Italian father. A woman who has no Italian heritage in her whatsoever is coming home to Italy to face Nova Nebula in singles action. Plus, a tag team match has been made official. Buster Gates and Sami Zayn will team up to face Bobby Lashley and Ricochet of the Hurt Business. And they're not the only two Hurt Business members in tag team action next week. As we heard from Nick Aldis, there'll be a 4-way elimination tag team match to determine who will face the Motor City Machine Guns at WrestleMania. It's Shark-KO versus Pretty Deadly versus the Hurt Business versus the Revolution in what's sure to be a banger. Plus, Cammy did let us know that the Megasis will be in action next week, looking to make defense number 9 of the Women's Liberty Championship. Plus, we'd have one more match now set for WrestleMania. It is the long-anticipated Sin City Street Fight. Two rivals who've been at each other's throats for months now. Drew McIntyre and Swerve Scott one-on-one street fight that's sure to be chaotic and bloody and brutal at WrestleMania. 80-rated main event. Okay, I'm actually really happy with that, considering Oba Femi is not quite that over yet, and the finish. So, US title match happening on SmackDown. You know, probably a little bit surprising, but I did say there would be... this was the match in question. I think when I did Kyrie and the Megasis 1 on SmackDown, I said, oh, there's going to be more matches where you'll be like, wait, this is already happening? This was literally the match I was thinking of. But yes, we are getting Oba Femi vs. Bronson Reed 1 here on SmackDown, and the ring breaks. The finish is, you know that spot? Like, this is going to be fucking insane, but hear me out. You know that spot, you know, that Oba did, like, he had Wes Lee, I think it was definitely Wes Lee, and, like, he was stood on the second rope, and he picked Wes Lee up, and he tossed him, like, off onto somebody else. Obviously, he can't do that to Bronson Reed, but he can try it. And like he goes to pick Bronson Reed up, and Bronson Reed like gets down the ropes, and then like as he picks him up, Bronson Reed lands on the top rope. He tries to fight off, and then Oba picks him up again, and then like Bronson falls down, like Oba's back is to the mat. And he's going to pick Bronson Reed up again, and then Bronson Reed falls like he's in position for a World's Strongest Slam, but Bronson Reed falls down, and him and Oba Femi crash to the ring mat, and the ring implodes. You know, a different variation of the ring break that isn't just a superplex. But yes, the match is called off because the ring has broken. I don't know how they're going to do velocity with a broken ring, but I'm sure it'll be addressed. But yes, no finish. Obviously, medics and referees and everybody run out to make sure both men are okay, but both men do end up getting to their feet. And this can't contain the two men. Nick Collins and Adam Pearce rush out and say, no, stop fucking fighting each other. But the brawl continues, and the two men end up... Again, Bronson Reed hits a tsunami through the announce table onto Oba Femi, like off the barricade, taking both men down. If the ring break spot wasn't enough, they got back up and wanted more. There's absolute carnage here in Barcelona. The crowd's losing their fucking minds. But yes, these two men can't be contained, it seems. And there's no finish to this United States Championship match. 82. Sure, I knew with the weakish main event it would be fine. But doesn't matter. What matters more is like you thought of the show. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you on the other side. If there is a velocity, we were supposed to have a Trios Championship match, but I guess we've got to take some time to patch the ring back up, so it might be a little bit shorter than normal. Velocity kicks off with RJ City standing on the ramp as a bunch of the ring crew like trying to put the ring back together, and he goes, hi everybody, Velocity General Manager RJ City here, and you can see there's a crazy time. You know, we had to tidy up after that mess of a main event, and I'm just coming out here to fill the time and amuse some of the fans here in Barcelona. So yeah, how's your evening been? You had a good night? You know, you're excited for Velocity. There's Trios Championship action. You know, two hometown Spanish boys gonna go right in our opening match once we get the ring back together. Okay, you're taking a sweet time here. How about I fill the time with some jokes? So, the guy who invented Zero, thanks for nothing. Okay. What did the grape say when it was stepped on? Nothing, it just, let out a little wine. No, okay, you didn't like that one either. Okay. I was up all night, wondering where the sun went. And then it dawned on me. Okay. Don't like that one either. Hey, so, shopping centers, huh? Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. Okay, so again, and then you get, okay, I'm getting notified that the ring crew is fixed. And, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. enjoy Velocity, here, enjoy Axiom. And Axiom's music hits, and he just walks past RJ, he's shaking his head. And yeah, just a fun little bit while we fix the ring for Velocity. Gets a 69, nice. Axiom defeats Zozea, 2 Spanish people. You know, had to bring Axiom in because we were in Barcelona, so him just having a match on Velocity felt like the right, instead of just, you know, him being on SmackDown for no reason. So he beats local Spanish wrestler Zozea in 14:44 by pinfall, 78 for Axiom, 45 for Zozea. Nice. Then get a hype video for next week's Cruiserweight Championship match, Johnny Gargano versus Cedric Alexander. Yeah, that's going to go down in Bologna. Hopefully the ring won't need fixing next week, but none of the matches are giving ring break energy, so it's fine. 70-minute match, sure. Dudley, 2 weeks ahead of his Speed Championship match with David Martin in London, defeats Leon Slater in 4:45, a Dudley device, so he can get the job done in under 5 minutes. Don't tell Sol Ruca that, but he can get the job done in under 5 minutes. 92 for Dudley, 63 for Leon. And then our main event is the Trios Championship matches, the Undisputed Era take on LA Extreme. 75, that's kind of Bobby Fish can't be that bad. Oh, is it because we're in Spain and the popularities are lower? Maybe. Okay. Or maybe RJ City's comedy fucking killed the entire show. Which, fair, honestly. But we do have new Cruiserweight Trios champions. Kyle O'Reilly, the God, submits Jorge Santana with the ankle lock. And they win the Cruiserweight Trios champ. Oh, it's because of the bruised pec. That's probably why the match didn't do as good as I thought it would. Because Rouge suffered a bruised pectoral muscle, and that made the match shit, apparently. 74 for Roddy, 43 for Bobby, 95 for Kyle, 83 for Rouge, 70 for Jorge, and a 69 for Santos. And yes, we managed to fix it. We got a Velocity show in the end, and it's very important that we did, because we crowned new Cruiserweight Trios champions here tonight in Barcelona. Thank you, Joe, I see. 71 rated Velocity, sure. What matters more is what you thought of the show, mainly of SmackDown. Do let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for Raw in Brussels as the European tour continues. See you then.